Hey, we are actually outside of City Hall, locked out. Could you let us in?
Oh yeah,
This is
sure. I'll be there in a second.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, somebody's in there? How did they get in?
That's how my mom taught me. That's how my mom taught me to make it. That's all I know.
We have a live mic just around.
Okay. So stop talking about potatoes.
I'd like to make sure everyone is.
Duly noted. Oh, I'm gonna sit here so I can use the gavel.
It's gonna be a little bit late. If he's
Who
not
is?
here, when we get to the resolutions, we're gonna jump ahead to the presentation.
Okay, John, you said?
Yeah, but he'll probably be in time. He's rushing.
Well, I mean,
But
he
if-
won't be
if
because
not-
it's 6:02.
If we get to the presentation, to the resolutions, we'll jump to the presentation. Here.
Is Dr. Bellamy coming this evening? Or am I in charge again? He lets me run the meetings, I think, because I'm efficient today. Keep us on task. But the last one
Was great.
was almost too short.
It was great.
We barely got here.
It was great. The easiest minutes ever.
I have a whole shelf with nothing but these pieces of paper.
How far back are they dated? Because I might need to come get some.
I mean, as long as I've been on the board, I haven't thrown them
we
away.
have to talk. We have to.
Okay.
Let me see. Is that enough? No.
Yeah, so how long have I been on the board? 4 years?
Okay. Yeah, oh, good, yes. I really do need them,
Yeah,
yes.
because I just re-upped in the summer.
Oh, good, yeah.
So I'm in my 4th year. Yeah.
Oh, I have it. I mean, well, it's some up there. Oh, no, it's out, yeah. See it somewhere.
All I brought was a pen.
I know, I was like, why do I bring anything else? I got a pen.
It's like I showed up to class, I got a pencil.
Good job.
Good.
Well, we do have a quorum, so I guess we could start based on the amount of paper we have. Might be a little bit today.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
Hold on.
Yeah, if everybody shows up. I haven't, personally haven't heard from anyone. Anybody else? Hey. Hi. Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Maria, can you do a roll call of the commissioners?
Commissioner Goldblatt.
Present.
Commissioner Vidales.
Present.
Commissioner Wicks.
Present.
Commissioner Hicks.
Here.
Commissioner Washington.
Present.
Commissioner Bellamy. We have a quorum.
All right, we'll now take a moment of silence. Okay, upcoming meeting dates, we have the board work session on October 11th at 6, and then our regular board meeting coming up on October 28th at 6. We also have the redevelopment committee on the first Thursday of every month. That'll be October 3rd at 3. And then we have the admin redevelopment meeting on October 17th at 1. We have the safety committee meeting every other Wednesday at 4. Next one will be September 25th. And then Resident Services Committee, October 8th at 1 o'clock. Are there any other announcements any of the commissioners have?
No.
No.
Okay, we'll now open it up for public comment. All right, or FAR comments.
Trish is downstairs. I don't know if she's gonna make bar comments. I don't know if we wanna like move that a little bit later since she's.
We have it again later, so we can. Okay. So now move for approval of the board minutes from October 26, 2024.
I move.
I'll second the motion.
So moved. Alrighty, and we will then, since Mr. Sales has not arrived yet, we're going to move forward on the agenda to the eviction diversion presentation, and then we'll move back to the resolutions a little bit later.
All right, great. All right, share this on the screen. Oh, good. Ms. Spinks has disabled the log on as well. All right. Tonight we're here to talk about a new program that we're hoping to launch this fall as part of our 3-year transition to a trauma-informed housing model, and it's eviction prevention program. we're just going to give an overview of the process, some of the steps we're going to be taking to get it started, and we have some time for questions at the end. John had asked for our Housing and Resident Services Department to work together to design an eviction diversion program. We are looking at how to do our services in a different way. We're going to be restructuring everything, every piece of paper that leaves our offices. We're already starting to adjust the way we do surveys and how we interact with our community. The process, we're trying to keep it really simple. A big part of it is knitting together two departments that have not historically worked together very closely with housing agencies. I was in Philadelphia last week talking to a lot of different housing authorities, and historically housing departments and resident services departments have been their own islands. And we see a real opportunity to do a better job by working together. We're looking at doing referrals with different situations so that we're speaking to one another so that we can provide wraparound services. And with that, we're also going to be knowing the service providers that we're referring people to. And I'll talk about that a little bit more. We're going to be forming a housing stability committee where we'll be meeting on a regular basis to talk about the different families or individuals in crisis or situations we've encountered and how we can work together to help everyone be successful. We have a form. I created it about a year ago, and we're going to be editing it and putting it into our new software we have called Family Metrics for case management, as well as the housing department is going to be looking at different ways to utilize this form, and Ms. Banks will talk about that some more. Basically, someone from a property manager or a resident service staff could refer someone over, and it's a way of tracking how everything goes and what's happening. So we can know what services have been offered, what's happening with that family, if there's been follow-up, and there's some accountability that's built into this as well.
Kathleen, there's a question from Dr. Goblet.
I'm just wondering with the, you might get into this later. I'm just wondering, you said you were editing. I'm wondering too, just about if there can be some sort of a early warning checklist of this is someone who maybe doesn't fit these boxes, but we're kind of and I don't know what that would look like, but maybe thinking about, I don't know if you've already thought about this and these are things, but before someone is late on payments or doesn't pay, is there a sign that it could be this is someone who we might want to flag who could use some additional services?
Yeah, the hope is, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more, is before someone reaches a point where they're getting a 2130, a situation where they have a lease violation, that this is occurring. We want this to occur first. Sometimes it'll occur afterwards if, a disturbance might have happened in the community, but generally we're hoping for this to be preventive.
Okay.
And we're going to be digging into it a lot more, especially with the Resident Services Committee. This is just an example. We had 2 different meetings with the Resident Service and the Housing Department and talked about some of the most common scenarios that we see that can lead to people having housing stability challenges. And, talking about how a referral might look with this and what some next steps might be. And this is just an example. There's many different ways that this could happen, but we wanted to have kind of a visualization with the 2 groups. And the 2 groups have only had a couple of meetings so far. We're really fortunate because we're starting to have more capacity as we hire more staff, but this was the initial process that the group worked through. Wraparound services are going to be really important. We have a Vista this year who's been absolutely amazing. Her name's Bridget Moss. She's a nurse practitioner who wanted to give back for a year, and she has been helping us reach out to a lot of people in the community who have financial resources to serve our residents. And we're having conversations with them about what they're offering, what they could offer, and what services look like. And we're hoping it can be the beginning of conversations to set up meetings with our residents, to interview them and get a feel for them and see if they might be a really good match for a warm handoff and referral services. We have some people we do have relationships already, but we need a lot more. And there are so many nonprofits in this community, and we really want to also hold some people accountable that say they're serving our community and see what's actually occurring. There's going to be a lot of resident involvement with this process. The Housing Stability Committee, as I said before, we're going to be setting up a formal process for that. We're going to be talking about that some at the Resident Services Committee as we set things in place. We've been having some trauma-informed care meetings with the Trauma-Informed Care Network at South First Street. One of the residents there asked us to set it up, and we're going to be also reaching out to them for support on the best way for us to go about this. We're going to be looking at new needs every month, because I think it's only the tip of the iceberg, especially with mental health and substance abuse, as to what we need to be doing, because we're not doing nearly enough. Many of our programs, a lot of individuals just aren't even ready to consider being in the programs yet. There's a lot more that needs to happen first. Regular program check-ins, that is going to be so essential, and that's part of the accountability piece that will be part of this program, making sure that we're not just referring people, we're not just having these meetings, that there's actually documentation and data that's going to be in our case management software system as well, showing that there's follow-up. And that'll be part of the evaluation of the program. And we're going to be coming back to you on some different ways we want to do that. A big step, first of all, is getting everyone trained and into the software. That's a big step.
Sorry,
Yep.
maybe you said it. Who will make up the Housing Stability Committee?
We are going to have an initial committee that will, just to get started, where housing and resident service staff will be meeting, and then from that we're going to be talking to the Resident Services Committee to actually set something up. It's not set up yet.
You know how many members may potentially be on the committee?
We were hoping to talk to some board members that have been really involved with talking about trauma-informed care. A big part of this will be that focus.
I have a recommendation whenever you guys are ready.
Yeah.
She's sitting to my right.
Yeah, we're very hopeful that she will join us.
Are you gonna have?
She's writing you a thank you note right now. Talk about me.
Along those lines, I'm wondering, are you going to have any, are there going to be people other than CRJ staff on that?
Yes, I'm really hoping the Trauma-Informed Care Network.
Cool.
We are working a lot with Megan Gordon, who's just been amazing. She has been really helpful to us in just thinking about how to do things differently. And we've been having really tremendous conversations. They've been very open to us, saying, if you have a situation where children might be taken out of a household, maybe you could do it differently. Not take the children through the whole neighborhood, not walk them down the street, have the car there, have individuals that are more representative of the family present. And they've been just so receptive to, listening to different thoughts on that. The evaluation of the program is going to be a really big conversation with this Housing Stability Committee, because we want to be really intentional about this. And I want to turn over the next part to our interim Housing Services Director, Tarana Banks, who has many years' experience working with these programs. Are you on, Tarana?
Yes, I am. Thanks, Kathleen. Good evening, everyone. So next steps will be training needs as far as the housing department, just increasing training, increasing knowledge. HOTMA, which has been a hot topic, that is still changing and evolving. We don't know what the final rule is going to be with HOTMA yet. With our LIHTC program that was implemented with the redevelopment, with project-based vouchers, fair housing, administration, ACOP, and there's many other things We have spent the last month, excuse me, evaluating staff and staff training needs. And we're continuing to do so. And so these are just a few of the things that we will be providing training on. There are upcoming trainings as well. And we will add to that as we work with resident services and other needs are identified. Program SOPs or standard operating procedures, regular team reviews of what is working to standardize across sites. So we will do that internally with just our team. And then we will also do that with resident services. And as Kathleen mentioned, having more outside people, not just staff on this committee, to kind of give better outsight of what we need as an organization as we work to implement this. The referral sheet, as Kathleen mentioned, we are working on. We will have some input, and I think, you know, the form will probably evolve periodically as we identify more needs and what works and what doesn't work. Number 2, regular review and sharing of steps in the referral flow chart. Again, something that will probably periodically be reviewed and trained, and changed as we work through the process. We implement the standard operating procedures and we identify needs. Set up regular meeting schedules. I believe we are having regular meetings effective with the last one, I believe. And as we move forward, as with anything, we will be meeting regularly to get updates, again, see what works, what doesn't work, what we need to change in order to best serve our residents. Items such as non-payment of rent, as we all know, it's something that's kind of never ending. So that will be a standard agenda item as we move forward with these regular meetings. And I'm sure we may identify some other things, maybe things such as housekeeping issues. Maybe we know that there's a need we have a resident that has mental health issues. Things like that will probably always be on the agenda so that we make sure we're not missing anything. The lease education series, we will be implementing through the whole process, especially to include in the lease briefing and the regular meetings and language access. We will implement that from the time the family comes in and is pulled off of the waiting list through the time of them leasing up and being a resident with us. Especially in the area of language access, we want to be sure that we are covering that from the beginning to the end so that there is no breach of understanding in what the lease says, what the addendums say, what the process is. That's been a big thing that's kind of opened up in property management and in housing. And we do now have an interpreter, which has been extremely helpful, just being in the office on a day-to-day basis and having access to that and no longer having to call a phone number. So we'll be making sure all these things are implemented from start through the occupancy of the family. And I'm going to give it back to Kathleen for number 6, if there are no questions.
All right. We really want to design a welcome to community check, just to really start things on the right foot. So many people move in, suddenly find themselves in a community. They're trying to, find their way in the community. We want to welcome people when they join our community and introduce them to the community and also see what they need. So just to give them a better chance of success. A lot of people when they first move in might not have furniture, or they might be coming in straight from homelessness and just have a lot of challenges. We also might just have a family that might have a situation where they're escaping domestic abuse, and we want to do a better job of providing some wraparound with that. So the committee is going to be talking a lot. That will be another thing that comes up probably at least quarterly, just how we welcome people to the community, especially a lot of our immigrants who have joined us. Because sometimes there's a lot of cultural differences when they come to the community, and things are done differently in the community than they're used to, and it can be a rough start for a lot of families. All right.
Have you guys thought about, so some of the things that you're tracking in the case management are sensitive, right?
Yep.
So like mental health challenges and stuff. Have you guys thought about how you'll protect the confidentiality? Like, I think it's great to have the committee and everything, and I think that, like, that's the right approach, but there's probably some sensitivity there to, you know, somebody's got something going on and they don't want it known, you know, how you protect that.
There's going to be everyone in the committee is going to definitely be signing, you know, different consents to protect privacy. But there will be often cases where someone's presenting, I have a family, I'm not going to tell you the neighborhood, but they have this many children, this is what's going on, I'm looking for support from this committee to address these challenges. And just, you know, more autonomous. There may be situations where a family is affecting a whole community.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon when we have people, we have people who seasonally go off their medication. The community knows it, that it causes distress for the whole community when it occurs, not to mention what it's doing to that individual and their family. And, you know, sometimes when we're discussing that, there's going to be people in the room who already know who we're talking about, but we're still going to try to protect their confidentiality in those situations. We're going to find that in this committee, that there might be people in the committee that are already working with those individuals in other capacities, but we're still going to do our best. We're already doing that on a regular basis. We're meeting with the trauma-informed care group or other groups, and there's people in the room already working with our families. And we also try to remind everyone we can't say names.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And there could occasionally be someone who wants to come to the committee and talk to them.
Kathleen, you talking about, well, I know you're not talking about just the drug abuse and the mental ill, but have Creedies got in touch with you about talking to university for help from their psychiatric students? Because the last fall meeting we had, I personally talked to him.
You know, I have not heard back from him. I'm going to talk to John about reaching out to our city manager, because I think he might have been following up with him on that, so we could get an update. I would love to hear more about that as well.
Right, because he said he would get in touch with them, but I'm assuming that school just started a month ago. It may take him a little time to do it. I just wondered if he had heard anything.
I have not, but I will definitely follow up.
I'll text him when I get my phone back,
Even faster.
since it's currently confiscated.
I believe Commissioner Stokely said you're not getting it back.
Yeah, clearly that's who's in charge here. I'm sorry, Ms. Washington, do you have something else? I had a quick question in regards to wraparound services. Not that I'm volunteering for the committee, because I think we'll be well spoken for, but I am happy to assist with connecting CRHA with other providers in any capacity that's needed, community providers that is, so just let me know I can be of assistance from a non-committee member perspective.
We'll be taking you up on that, because, I mean, we know, you know, one fit isn't for everyone. And we're going to, you know, grab many families that someone might be wonderful for, where another one, you know, could even have a history with that provider, just some reason.
Okay.
That it's not the right one, so
Right.
I appreciate that.
No problem at all, thank you. I don't have anything else, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, it's really exciting to see this.
Outstanding.
Yeah, this is really great.
Yeah. Outstanding work. While you're there, Kathleen, Madam Vice Chair, can I say something really quickly?
Yes, you may.
Kudos also to you, Kathleen, for all of your hard work every Tuesday or every other Tuesday. Kathleen has been beating me to the bus stop and going, her, Maria, and John, but picking up the stuff. They've been getting the donuts, getting the fruit, getting the tables, and we've been to 4 of our 6 sites, I think,
Yep,
thus far.
one more
Yeah.
left for the.
Yeah, we have one more to go to. So
We'll be to you
just
soon,
want to
Riverside.
again give you some kudos for holding down the fort, as well as Miss Carey and Mr. Sales. Your work is really appreciated with the breakfast or meet us at the bus stop work. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we will move forward to Resolution 1479. That is resolution authorizing the creation of entities in connection with the participation by Charlottesville Redevelopment and Housing Authority in the redevelopment of the second phase of South 6th Street Apartments.
Good evening, everyone. So the resolution in front of you is a resolution to allow the resident planners to move forward with their Phase 2 redevelopment planning. So they've completed their strategic plan. Phase 1 has been funded and has an anticipated construction start date of towards the end of this year. And so the residents are ready for Phase 2. And so we need this entity to be created in order to move that project forward. And also for it to start moving forward with the due diligence work, so hiring engineers and architects to prepare a site plan to be submitted to the city. So we have not submitted a demo dispo application yet for the rest of the site. We did complete a demo dispo for the first phase of that building, which was the removal of 6 public housing units. And so the second part of that demo dispo will remove the remaining 19 units in the community center building. The community center. We don't know exactly the form of funding for the assistance tied to the units. We do know they will be fully subsidized, but either through voucher or public housing assistance, but we don't know what that is yet because we're not far enough along the process. We will make that decision at some point, and it will go through the redevelopment committee for final approval. But this right here allows CRJ to move forward with the first phase of that. You have any questions for me? No questions?
All right, motion to approve.
So move. Oh.
I'll second.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
All right. Next up is Resolution 1480, resolution authorizing the purchase of a certain parcel of property by the Charlottesville Redevelopment and Housing Authority.
All right, good evening again. So this resolution is in front of you to authorize the Housing Authority to move forward with the acquisition of a duplex property located at 406 Harris Road. It's a 3-bedroom, well, there are 2 units. One unit is a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. The second unit is a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. The 2-bedroom unit is currently vacant. The 3-bedroom unit is currently rented, and it's by a family that's in our program already. So the property came to us off market because we have a relationship with the real estate agent where he knew someone the owner that was getting ready to sell the property. And we found out that the family is currently in our program. And so if the unit was sold, it would be at risk of losing that affordability. And so we were already in the works with another portfolio acquisition. So when this came up, we had the idea to roll this with the property on 5th Street to make one portfolio acquisition using FAHI financing, which is bond financing over 30 years, 6.5% interest, which is slightly below the market rate currently. The properties did get appraisals, and that property appraised for $490,000. So it appraised for slightly more than what we're acquiring it for. But the reason we're acquiring it is to keep it affordable. And so That's the goal, and it's highlighted in our strategic plan for us to acquire more properties for preservation in the city.
Does it need, either the rented or the unrented units, do they need a lot of maintenance? Have we been able to determine?
Yeah, this property is actually impeccable condition. The unit that's vacant is move-in ready. The only reason it's vacant is because the owner decided to sell, and so he didn't want to occupy the unit with another tenant, especially at the rate he was renting the unit for. It was way less than market value.
Okay.
I think it was like $700 below market value.
All right. Any other questions? No. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 1480.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay, Big Javier making motions. Okay, getting engaged. All right.
All right, one more. Resolution 1481, resolution authorizing the purchase of a certain parcel of property by the Charlottesville Redevelopment and Housing Authority.
Okay, so this resolution is also a resolution to buy 2 parcels that contain a total of 13 units. There are 9 units on one property, brick townhouses, and then across the street there are four units amongst 3 different structures. So there's a duplex and then like 2 cottage-style units behind the home. All the units are below market value when it comes to rent. They're way below market. They're $600 below the voucher rent, and so that means they're between $800 and $1,000 below the regular Charlottesville market rent. And so we began talking with this owner about a year ago when she mentioned that she was interested in selling her property. Property has not hit the open market. We also did get appraisals on this property, these 2 properties, and they appraised for together 2.2 million. And so we are also buying these below appraisal value as well. The rents were a little low on these properties, which made it really hard to get a loan on them because they look at how much income you're bringing in on the properties to determine that. The unique thing about this property is they currently do have some vouchers that on the property that are getting assistance. It's just their rents were way below what they could charge for the units. And so in our acquisition, we're going to bring those units up closer to the market rent, which will not have an impact on the tenants that are living in those units that have vouchers. We will not increase the rents upon acquisition for the units that don't have vouchers. They will fall within the normal standard increases on our regular units like at Dogwood, which happen per year on on renewals.
Is that the case even if the current tenants move out?
Yeah, well, in that case, then it would be marketed to a voucher
Okay.
voucher
The idea is
family.
that they would remain affordable.
Yes. The units are always going to remain affordable. That's something that we fully committed to as we acquire these properties. We don't know if the city is going to have a relationship in these acquisitions, but if they do, we also give them a 99-year plus some ownership in the properties as well, which also ensure affordability. What was I going to say about these properties?
Is there any work needed on these properties, or are they ready as well?
So they're all fully occupied. There is some work that needs to happen on the properties on 217, but it is reasonable to where we can get it done $15,000 to $20,000 per unit. The units are livable. They were rated fair condition through the appraisal, and so they're in good livable condition. But as we continue to change our standard or how we look at our units, like some things like central air, we're seeing that's something that every unit should have.
Mm-hmm.
And so these units not all like that. And so there's some things that we would like to adjust as we bring these units closer to market value.
Any other questions for Mr. Sales?
No.
No questions. Before we vote, can I make one comment, Madam Vice Chair? I just saw, prior to me coming here, I was at the Buy Back the Block meeting at First Baptist Church and saw former Mayor Snook, who said that he sent an extremely lengthy email to Mr. Sales asking several questions about the acquisitions, and he said that he hadn't had the opportunity to tell you, but he was very pleased with your responses. And council as a whole, although he can't speak for all of council, but he must say that he thought that council would feel as if your answers were beyond adequate. So he told me to pass that message along. So thank you for your work, not only with acquiring these properties, but all in what you've been doing as of late.
Thank you.
Awesome. Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve Resolution 1481.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
I do have a question, not about any of that. Mr. Sales, and I apologize if I missed it, but I wanted to just ask for a status update on the operational, standard operating procedures we had outsourced, and just see where those were.
Yes, so we've hired the company has started, we've had our meeting with the firm, so the firm is working, they're working on their plan. 90 days is what they're shooting for, and I can't guarantee that that's realistic when we're looking at everything that we're asking them for, because we're asking them to look at every program and tell us how it should be how we're operating it now, document it, what's the best practice for operating it. Now look at our systems and tell us how we operate it within our systems. And so we've had the conversations, and I've identified which parties are in the group, and the board will have a role in that as well, because then there's an administrative piece where we want them to help set up how these meetings operate, how do the subcommittees operate, how do the work sessions operate, and the processes for those. And so that work is started. We've hired a firm. We've had the leadership meeting with that firm, and now they're having the subgroup meetings to start that process and building out those policies.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Can I also bring up a separate issue before we turn back to public comment?
Yep.
So I talked about this with Michael and Mr. Sales during my 2221, and there's also been some email chains. But I've been hearing from residents two issues. One is around what Ms. Glenn Matthews mentioned and Ms. Dreyfus brought up at the joint work session between the board and City Council is cultural clashes at our sites. And so we talked a lot about this during the meeting about refugee resettled families, people who are coming, who are not necessarily that are different from, I think, the traditional people that we've had in public housing, and ways to bring in more services to try to manage those cultural clashes. I know there's some interest on the part of the city. Michael Payne is going to be looking into that. Kathleen has some really good ideas as well. And then I think Michael was going to put me in touch with someone from the IRC that he's been in contact with to see what they could provide, but also to make the case that they're not really doing right by the people they're resettling if they don't provide them with services to help them to adjust to their new circumstances, but also deal with some of the trauma. So then alongside that, there's also been, concern about addiction issues and a lack of ability to deal with them for people who don't want to use anymore in our communities and things like that. And so I know that there's currently in the city an attempt to try to get Region 10 to provide some of those services just to people within the city of Charlottesville, which they've said well, we can't do it unless it's our entire usage area, but they're trying to work on that. And I know that there's been some other conversations about ways to bring in more of those services into our communities. So I think this is going to be an ongoing conversation that we all need to be on top of, hopefully something at a future work session, but I just wanted to put on people's radars that this is something that's coming up.
We actually, as part of the Sexy Pantries, have talked to Region 10 about they want to do education sessions and would, in the communities, and how we could help them maybe coordinate that. So that may be a part of that.
Yeah, I think in some regards they're overworked and under-resourced.
And then, in all the regards.
Yeah, I was trying to be polite, you're right.
We have been able to source some Narcan from,
Fire department.
it's, I can't always forget its name. It's like Hold Harmless Charlottesville or something. And so we only have a pantry in Crescent Halls, but we have been able to stock Narcan in Crescent Halls so far. So as soon as we can get the other pantries set up, that we can at least provide that, and we have a source to provide that in the communities, which doesn't address the addiction, but it does help.
Sure.
In emergency situations.
Indeed, thank you.
I'll follow up on that though with Region 10 and how we can maybe help them.
Yeah, and if people have ideas, I mean, I think that since COVID, we've seen, I think COVID sparked awareness of a mental health crisis nationwide, and that's true of our community too. And so I think that even people who have ideas about how to identify service providers, people who could perhaps help, because I think the scale of the need is really large, and it's hard to like wrap our minds around how to do this and how to do it well. So I think this is a moment for like any ideas. And I think we should keep pushing on City Council to be thinking about things like gun violence holistically, and think about how we would potentially as a city deal with this problem.
I think there is a kind of universal shortage of resources. So I think there's also a little bit of like, what can we do? What can we encourage the city to do to help address that and help promote more resources? Because in some cases, it's challenging to find because it doesn't exist.
Well said. Well said.
All right. Any other commissioner comments before we move to FAR comments?
No, ma'am.
Any FAR comments today?
Okay.
Or we can start with public comment.
Amen. All right.
My name is Annette Wilcox. I read about a new Piedmont Housing Alliance apartments on Carlton Avenue, and I was curious to know when they're going to, what month in next year they're going to start.
I'll
try to read it.
I don't know if I'm familiar. Mr. Sales, do you know anything about?
Yeah, I think it's
Are you talking about the trailer park, the Carlton?
Yeah, and on the trailer area, where they're.
I think they've, at this point, just acquired it and they're trying to figure out what the next steps are gonna be. I don't think there's any like immediate plan for construction.
Okay, I'll read about it on the Charlottesville magazine.
Okay, thank you.
I think I saw in the news they were talking about 5 years.
Yeah, what I saw, it seemed like nothing was like
Find out
immediate.
what the residents there want.
I feel like I read they were gonna like change nothing for a certain amount of time, but I don't remember what it was.
But back to CRHA business.
Yep. Now, how about those FAR comments?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I just wanted to say, I wanted to announce for our residents the beginning of Fall Fest that will be starting October the 25th. So that's one of the youth initiatives that we're having and partnering with several organizations to make that happen. And we will be at 6th Street, Riverside, South First, Madison, West Haven, and Mickey. And those respective dates are the 25th of October, November the 1st, the 6th, November the 8th, the 21st, and the 22nd. And they will be from 5 to 7 respectively, those evenings that they're going on. The other thing that we're having for residents that's starting is internship recruitment for our new internship program cycle that will be beginning in mid-October. We have a new internship coordinator, Vons, who has already been doing recruitment work for that and door knocking and flyering to community members. So we are looking to start recruiting now.
Cool.
Folks can find the information on our website, also on our social media websites for both the internship and Fall Fest The other thing that we are looking for resident reviewers is for our R3 position. So we are currently looking for an additional reviewer. So you can also find information on the FAR website and on our social media pages for that as well. And voter registration drives, we are having those currently going on in most of the communities. I know that tonight we just did Mickey, and the next one is also on our social media site. It's not on the top of my head. South First Street, and that is just to get residents out to get information. We've been doing work, getting people's rights restored, so very good work, and we're proud to announce that we're getting some movement for our residents. So that is what we have so far, and anything else?
Thank you.
Great, thank you, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Got my man Big Von's in here. All right, Big Von's. Little transition for sure. Good to see you in here, man.
All right. Sorry to make sure both my kids are registered to vote. I don't have to beat them. Okay. Does anyone have anything else this evening?
No, just a quick announcement. We will be at where, Kathleen, on Tuesday?
I think next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday at Riverside at 7 a.m. Meet us at the bus stop. We'll have donuts, juice, fruit. If any of you lovely commissioners would like to meet us at 7 a.m., bring your coat and a smile. John will have 18 dozens of donuts,
I don't know why 8.
sugared up.
I have like 3.
No, brother. You gonna bring more than 3 because I done bought more than 3. So you go.
It's Riverside.
Yeah, you gonna have
There's
more
so
than
many kids
3.
over there.
Yeah,
They're
we
hungry.
gonna-
They want donuts.
See,
talk about-
well, West feeds the neighborhood. I try to just feed my kids. So West feeds the neighborhood.
That's all I have, Madam Vice Chair.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Bellamy. All right. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
A motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Alex is ready.
Motion's going.
Thank you.
I mean, with all these papers, I thought we was gonna be here until tomorrow morning.
He started peppering me with all these well, can you explain to me why? Can you tell me why? And I was like,
I'm learning.
buddy, just go vote, okay?
I'm learning. Somebody asked me, so how you like to be in commission? I said, I'm learning.
I know your curveball they throw you every week.
So I'm learning how to pick up on things.
Yeah.
So
I tell you, it definitely is a learning curve. But we are working on some important you know, he sit over in that corner with some mistakes.
how are you?
Because I got it good.
Oh, you got it good.
Region 10 cannot handle all that's going on.
excuse me, ma'am, did you just have a birthday?
If he could come
Happy birthday.
and that's second.
She only likes me sometimes.
Yeah.
Bring the intern.
Right.